Imagine this. You are driving home and you get pulled over by the police. And they're being super nice to you. You chit-chatting. Seems like it's going just fine. Officer even says, hey, I'm going to give you a warning. Then he looks at you and he says, have you had anything to drink tonight? And you say, I only had 2 beers, officer. Or I only had 2 glasses of wine, officer. Stop right there. That sentence has talked more people into trouble than almost anything you can say during a traffic stop. Not because 2 beers or 2 glasses of wine proves you're drunk. It doesn't. But the second you admit you've been drinking, you stop helping yourself and you start helping the officer build a case against you. Because now the stop changes. You're not just a person with a broken taillight or someone who drifted over the center line for a second. Now you're a possible DUI, OVWI investigation. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact sentence you want to use instead. The biggest mistake people make after they get pulled over, and the trap that catches people who think being honest is the same thing as being smart. Hi, I'm attorney Marc Lopez. I have defended thousands and thousands of people against drunk driving charges. And let me tell you something right now. People do not talk their way out of these cases. They talk their way deeper into them. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 3 moments where people accidentally help the police and hurt themselves. First, they talk. People just love to talk and it kills me. Second, people perform. And third, they confuse the roadside investigation with the certified chemical test. If you can understand these 3 simple things, you'll handle a stop a whole lot better than the average person. And if you're the type of person that talks fast when you're nervous, well, I want you to listen extra close because that makes this video even more important for you. When an officer asks, have you had anything to drink tonight? That's not small talk. That is evidence gathering. He's not asking because he cares about how your dinner went. He's asking because he wants an admission. If you say no and he smells alcohol, now he may decide that you're a liar. If you say yes, you've just given him a fact that he can put right into his report. And once he starts stacking your words together with anything else he's going to write down, odor of alcohol, red eyes, fumbling with your license, nervous speech, whatever driving behavior got you stopped in the first place, you're helping him create the narrative they will use against you later. That's why all of this matters. Your job is not to sound friendly. Your job is not to clear things up. Your job is to stop volunteering evidence. With that, let's talk about the most famous line of it all. I only had 2 beers, officer. Cops hear that phrase every single day. I'm a former DUI prosecutor, and officers literally would tell me if they hear that phrase, I only had 2 beers, they knew that person was probably drunk as a skunk. It is one of the most predictable, overused, and self-defeating things people say. Because once you say it, you're basically admitting, yes, I drank alcohol. Yes, I got behind the wheel. And yes, you can start connecting the dots. And here's the crazy part. People say it because they think it sounds responsible. They think it sounds believable. And they think it makes them sound like good guys. It does not. It makes you sound like every other nervous person trying to explain away a situation. And when you start explaining, well, you tend to dig yourself deeper. So here's the script. And I want you to say it exactly like this. Officer, here's my license and registration and insurance, but I'm not going to answer any questions. Just like that. Just say it just like that. You're not going to say, I only had 1 drink. You're not going to say, I'm fine to drive. Definitely not going to say, I've only had 2 drinks. You're not going to say, I live 5 minutes away. You're not going to say, I drank hours ago. No explaining, no minimizing, no storytelling. It's not the time for that. Say, officer, here's my license, registration, and insurance. And I'm not answering questions. Why does that work? Because it's short. Because it's polite. Because it doesn't sound combative. And it gives the officer almost nothing useful to quote except that you declined to answer questions. That is a whole lot better than seeing in the police report, driver admitted to consuming alcohol. Now, is the officer going to like that answer? Of course not. You may hear something like this. If you haven't been drinking, why don't you just answer me? Or, sounds like you're trying to hide something, and then they'll just stare at you. Or, I love this one. Why do you want to make this harder than it has to be? Do not argue. Do not get cute. Do not try to out-lawyer the cop on the side of the road. Promise you, he's had more experience dealing with people who stop than you have. When an officer pushes, your response is even simpler. I plead the 5th. I love it. That's it. Same tone, same volume, same answer. Do not get loud. Don't get argumentative. I plead the 5th. Very matter-of-factly, even boring. Because the more you explain, the more opportunities you create for the officer to say your speech sounded slurred, You were confused, evasive, giving inconsistent answers. You do not win this moment by trying to be clever. You win it by trying to be boring. Now, let's be clear about something. If the officer tells you to get out of the car, well, you need to get out of the car, or they're going to drag you out of that car. And you're going to have more problems than simple DUI investigation. So don't resist, do not debate, do not turn a possibly bad night into a guaranteed one. A lawful traffic stop already gives police a lot of control over the scene, including ordering the driver out of the vehicle. That still does not mean you have to start helping build the case with your mouth. So yes, if you're ordered out, comply and get out of the vehicle. But compliance is not the same thing as cooperation with every question they want answered. So get out, stay calm, keep your mouth shut. Now we get to what I call the stupid human tricks. Eye test, the walk and turn, the one-leg stand. Now these tests are sold to people like they're your chance to prove that you're okay. That is not how they function in the real world. In the real world, they are a chance to create more observations, more notes, more body cam footage, and more testimony that hurts you. Think about it. You're at the scene, the blue lights are flashing, the cars are flying by, already nervous because you got pulled over. You're on uneven pavement. You're being judged by somebody who already suspects you are intoxicated, and now you're supposed to perform like an Olympic gymnast on the shoulder of the road? Come on. So, you need to check your state laws, do the research, figure out if your state requires you to do field sobriety tests. In Indiana, the eye test, the one-leg stand, the walk and turn, fingers, the touching the nose, out the back, those are all optional, and they can't be used against you. The officer might try to write in his report, refuse field sobriety, but in many states, again, including Indiana, can't be used against you. So don't do them. State clearly, I'm not going to do that. Again, you're not angry, you're not dramatic, you're not disrespectful, just simple and fun. I'm not going to do those. Because if they already have enough to arrest you, they're going to arrest you with or without those tests. You do not need to give them a live performance to play back later. Now, here is the moment where people get really jammed up. They think every breath test or certified test is the same. It's not. There are roadside phases, and then there's a certified chemical test phase. And the difference matters. Now, let's talk about certified chemical tests, blood or breath. In Indiana and many other states, you do not have to blow into the portable breathalyzer for a normal traffic stop. And the fact that you decline to blow into the roadside breathalyzer isn't going to be used against you. Again, you need to do the research on your state. But the only penalty for many states, including Indiana, is if you refuse the certified test, which is a blood test. Unfortunately, that can be done at the side of the road in some instances, or a certified breath test at the station. So you need to know what you must do to avoid a license suspension. Because in many states, if you refuse the certified test, breath test at the station, or the blood draw, then that can result in some devastating license consequences. Where in some situations, you're not going to be able to drive in any legal capacity. So do your research and make sure you know the difference between a roadside test and a certified chemical test, because they're often not the same decision, and they often do not have the same consequences. And if you don't understand those differences, you don't understand your state's requirements, you can make a bad situation worse in a hurry. And if you are going to use my script, your body language has to match it. You got to keep your hands visible, your movements slow, no digging around like you lost your wallet in a cave. If your wallet is in your back pocket, say it before you reach. If it's dark, turn on the interior light. Keep your tone normal, keep your face calm. Your goal is to not look innocent. Your goal is to look non-threatening, non-chaotic, and unbelievably boring. Because the second you start fumbling, rambling, making sudden movements, or talking too much, you're giving the officer more things to describe later. Remember, every weird movement becomes a sentence in the report. And here's the part that trips up good people. They think, I'm not a criminal. I'm not some sort of dangerous person. I'm just respectful and honest. I'll blow and I'll get this over with. No, that mindset gets people in trouble every single day. Because the side of the road is not a confession booth. It's an investigation. And when you understand that, everything changes. You stop trying to be liked. You stop trying to explain. You stop trying to sound innocent, and you start protecting yourself like an adult understands that words matter. That's not rude. That's not suspicious. That's smart. And before we recap, I want to just mention, you have to know your state's laws. If you're carrying a licensed firearm, some states require you to tell the officer that as soon as you get stopped. In some states, if the officer asks you if you're carrying a firearm, you have to be honest. In some states like Indiana, it's none of the officer's business. You don't got to say anything. But you still shouldn't lie. Maybe say, I plead the fifth. Also, you need to have a driver's license, registration, insurance to drive out legally in the United States. Please don't come at me with this right to travel nonsense, because that's total garbage. doesn't apply. Got to have your driver's license. And you have to provide that when asked. So let's wrap this up. If the cop asks, have you been drinking? Do not hand them the 2 beers line. Do not explain. If you're not required in your state, don't perform the stupid human tricks because you feel pressured. And you need to understand the difference between a roadside breath test and a certified test, blood or breath, and when you have to agree to one or suffer serious license consequences. Have to do the research. And then use the script. Officer, here are my required documents, but I'm not answering questions. And if they press you, I plead the fifth. Remember the rules. Be polite. Be boring. Be quiet. That right there is the entire video in 3 lines. Now, if you've watched this video this far, I'm begging you, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment. Let me know if you've had any experience getting pulled over, if the officer has asked you those lines. If you don't want to self-disclose you've been pulled over, then leave me a comment about something funny. I tell you what, some of the most joyous moments of my life are when I'm reading these comments and people really go out of their way to try to make me laugh. My favorite story is when I was reading a comment like at 6 o'clock in the morning, drinking some coffee, and I read a comment so funny, I spit it over my computer screen. My wife was mad at me like days later. Not even her computer. She smelled it in the same office. If you don't want to try to leave me a funny thing, let me know who I remind you of. We got Tom Cruise. We got John Leguizamo, De Niro. You know, also people say remind him of Turtle from Entourage. Skinnier turtle, hoping not chubbier turtle. If you are facing charges in the great state of Indiana, I encourage you to give me and my team a call here at the Marc Lopez Law Firm. We would love to talk to you about your options. But most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, remember to always plead the